WebX 2025 is going on. We have Jack McDonald on stage talking about Ripple, RLUSD, and the future of the XRP ledger. We're also going to get into this post about Japan's prime minister calls XRP a crypto once in a century opportunity. Did he really say that? I'm going to tell you what he said. And then we got now licensed as a major payment institution in Singapore. Ripple's making moves all over the world. We're going to talk about all of this and so much more in this video. Let's begin. Drum roll, please. All right, here we go.
Pilots around the world quite successful at that, and we very much believe in a tokenized world on chain. That said, we've made the decision to really put our resources and time behind the stablecoins because we feel like that's the real unlock of the future here and where we at Ripple can have the biggest impact. I'd also note that I think certainly in the U.S. there's legislation actually precluding the U.S. government from issuing a CBDC. So I think you have to look at the growth of CBDCs in a very specific jurisdiction by jurisdiction or sovereign by sovereign perspective. But at Ripple, we're focused on our stablecoin. We've kind of made our bet there and have a playbook that we're running.
We know stablecoins are the future. We've made a bet there, and did you say our plays are running? What do you say at the last second there?
We kind of made our bet there and have a playbook that we're running.
A playbook that we are running. We know stablecoins are the future. We have the treasurer of the United States, who is in charge of the treasury, is telling us that the stablecoin market over the next few years will go into the trillions. So we know that's where the most money will be made. At the end of the day, Ripple needs to build their war chest so they can go out and purchase half the world if they really wanted to and take over. I don't care if Ripple becomes a monopoly. I know some people rail about Microsoft and Apple and all these people getting too much power. I just want Ripple to have all the power, because if they have the power, XRP is going to be a stupid price. And then I don't really have to worry about some of these other, things happening in life. I can just go and say, hey, all these zeros in my bank account, we're chilling. Okay, let's go back to this. Japan's prime minister calls XRP crypto once in a lifetime opportunity. So we go ahead and fact check this. This seemed a little fishy to me. There's no credible evidence confirming that Japan's prime minister publicly called XRP crypto a once in a century opportunity or made statements matching this viral claim on August 26. Major financial and Japanese news outlets have not reported on such an endorsement, and no official government statements back or ascertain this or back this assertion. XRP and Japanese government, while Japan has been proactive in crypto regulation and adoption with banks and financial institutions involved in blockchain experiments, there is no verified record of prime minister specifically highlighting XRP in these terms recently. So, that is not accurate. Recording Ripple payments user 2C2P. That is not an easy thing to say quickly. Has been granted a major payment institution license from the Monetary Authority of Singapore. What does all of this mean? So we got 2C2P's approval as a major payment innovation by the Monetary Authority of Singapore is especially important for Ripple and XRP because it aligns with Ripple's ongoing strategy to build regulated payment corridors, drive digital asset adoption, and unleash enterprise-grade blockchain use in Asia Pacific, where Singapore serves as a regulatory benchmark and gateway for crypto innovation. Here are some of the benefits. Regulatory validation, 2C2P's MAS, Monetary Authority of Singapore license, like Ripple's own MPI license, signals strong regulatory vetting and compliance with Singapore's Payment Services Act, reinforcing legitimacy of Ripple's network for institutional and enterprise uses. Expand enterprise payment flows. 2C2P enables merchant acquisition and money transfers for businesses across Southeast Asia, direct supporting use cases for RippleNet and XRP enabled liquidity on cross-border transactions. The acceleration of crypto-enabled payments. The license lets 2C2P connect. God, can we just call it something more simple? Connect to other regulated infrastructure, helping scale the adoption of XRP for fast, inexpensive cross-border payments and liquidity, the core value proposition of Ripple's financial markets. It does have some additional information here about the strategic impact in the APAC region. It says gateway to Southeast Asia. Singapore acts as the regional hub for crypto and fintech. 2C2P's licensing means more business flows can leverage Ripple's ecosystem, increasing volume and mainstreaming to the use of regulated digital assets. Ripple's credibility and influence. I don't think I need to read that to you. You kind of understand that. And it says benchmark for licensing globally. The Monetary Authority of Singapore's approach serves as a template for other jurisdictions having licensed partners like 2C2P sets the standard for Ripple collaborations globally. All right, that's pretty cool, man. Here's some other additional information from High Vibe Assets. It says Ripple, American Express, Visa, Standard Chartered, largest financial institutions currently using Ripple and XRP technology. And so they just posted all of these different photos here of these different banks and FedNow and all of these juicy details here, American Express. And then, I just wanted to see if there's any additional information that maybe I missed here. It says banks like Santander, American Express, and Standard Chartered have joined RippleNet, Ripple's enterprise blockchain network, to improve the speed, transparency, and cost efficiency of international money transfers and business payments. RippleNet leverages XRP as a bridge asset, allowing real-time settlement between various currencies and markets, eliminating pre-funded accounts and reducing counterparty risk. FedNow and the U.S. Instant Payment Service is rumored to be integrating aspects of Ripple's technology in April 2024. A transaction was confirmed where FedNow processed an XRP payment from a crypto wallet to a traditional U.S. bank, fueling speculation of RippleNet's role in the U.S. payment infrastructure. Why is this important? Institutional validation. When leading global banks and the U.S. Federal Reserve adopt Ripple and XRP, it signals long-term trust and potential for mass adoption or mainstream usage. Talks about faster, cheaper payments, liquidity and utility for XRP. Using XRP as a bridge asset increases its liquidity and transactional volume, supporting its price and long-term utility in global settlement token. Does talk about blockchain and trade finance and CBDC. Standard Chartered is leveraging Ripple's net for supply chain and trade finance. The CEO also sees Ripple and XRP as a critical in bridging CBDCs, reinforcing XRP's strategic role in the future fintech infrastructure. Really, really cool to see. And of course, we've seen this picture before and why this is important. These are some of Ripple's XRP's biggest corridors here. US and Mexico with Bitso, US and the Philippines, coins, Australian dollar, US dollar with Australian dollar, Novati. And then, of course, JPP and JPH, Lulu Exchange, looks like Japan, Brazil, I think. Is that what that says? It says Brazil. I don't know. It's a little strange there. And then you also have Japanese yen and Philippines, Filipino peso, AED and INR via India and the UAE. All right, guys, let me just give you some additional context here, and then I'll let you go for the day. Ripple XRP market cap fluctuates with figures from August 2025, ranging from 28 billion to 176 billion on Forbes, consistently placing XRP as in the global top 10 cryptocurrencies. Sector reports estimate Ripple's XRP market was 126 billion late 2024, reaching 6,582 billion by 2035. So they're predicting maybe a $6.5 trillion market cap for XRP by 2035. That's 10 years from now. I think we're going to be higher, me personally, but who knows? The Ripple segment itself, basically storage wallets, generated 867 million in 2024, expected to reach 1.76 billion by 2030. Ripple's institutional reach. Ripple now boasts over 300 active financial institutions and partnerships spanning banks, fintechs, and payment providers and exchanges. Ripple's cross-border payment solutions offer instant settlement, cost savings, and transparency compared to legacy SWIFT systems, covering 90% of the world's financial exchange market. So this is the FX market. So Ripple does currently hold 90% of the world's keys. So you start to wonder is that last 10% super important? Because the first 90% is probably the biggest economies and currencies in the world. Once Ripple controls that, which they now do, I mean, it's kind of, building the infrastructure, that is what takes over a decade, right? Once you have built everything, then they will come. And now you're starting to see companies and institutions and banks and financial market infrastructures and central banks and all of these other players starting to realize that Ripple is a serious player and they're here to stay. It does talk about XRP's adoption and utility. There are 5.3 million active XRP wallets as of March 2025, with 130,000 new wallets created in January. XRP averages 2 million transactions a day, with 75% settled in under 5 seconds. Talks about growth drivers and challenges. We don't really need to get into that, but I do believe over the next few months, you are going to see dramatic price rises for XRP, especially as the ETFs get approved. Before the ETFs get approved, you're probably going to see a surge of price. People predicting that that's going to have some dramatic impact on price. I'd imagine we won't stay around, $2.80 or $3 for long in this regard. Now, obviously, we could get to October and the SEC could decide to do something crazy that could lead to them denying the ETF approvals in the market. We would, lawyers and companies would have to sue them, just like they did for Bitcoin, to get that approved. I don't think we're going to go that way, but obviously it's either a yes or a no at this point. I'm leaning towards more to yes, but we've been shocked by what governments do before. And so we should plan accordingly. Obviously, if the government denies any ETF, you are going to get a dump in the token. So just be prepared and listening during those dates. I will keep you up to date on everything that you need to know on this channel. Such a pleasure and an honor to be on this journey with you. Thank you for spending this time with me. Have a fantastic week ahead. Aloha.